Throwing knives with the homing feature must be a dream for any circus performer. Just these happen to lock onto the head, so one bad circus act later, kunai is turned to a fun weapon. Locking angle seems to be about 30 degrees, and within that, it's hard to miss. I am trying to aim less in this video in order to showcase this feature, but you can't just swing your aim wherever, it has to be somewhat close to the target. Huge upside is that kunai is going for the head, and that sweet 3x headshot multiplier. Downside is that nullifiers eat like half of your INCARNON charges because of that. But we get those charges fast anyway, just the difference is that regular fire mode does not have that homing feature. Evolutions are quite generous. Second evolution adds damage and either increase damage on enemies on low health or more multi-shot, if you're running a channeled ability. Now, multi-shot is real spicy, because INCARNON form has a base value of 2, but condition is quite limiting considering the violently exterminated a lot of channeling abilities from the game and replaced them with spammable abilities. So yeah, here I'd pick the first option. Third evolution has some cool stuff, either projectile flight speed, magazine size, or reload speed. Weapon reloads fast anyway, so that's a no-go for me. Magazine size is good enough, and that stat won't affect INCARNON form, so we are left with the projectile flight speed as probably the best choice. Last evolution has interesting options. We can get a temporary but quite insane increase in critical chance and critical damage when we swap from a primary weapon. This can work well with holster reload weapons. Otherwise, it is kinda weird to swap around just to trigger it. Second option adds fire rate, we'll skip that. And the last option adds critical chance and status chance. Last option seems the most reasonable one, as now both fire modes are more than critically viable. Status also helps as base is rather low. For build, it's a critical build with viral and heat. Secondary deadhead is a natural option to make those headshots even stronger. I got this silly ribbon roll ages ago and it finally has a use that's not a meme. What I could change in this build is ditch critical damage mod and use galvanized shot, but because headshots do be OP, most targets melt fast anyway. I could also ditch lethal torrent for that galvanized mod, but I went with it initially because of that base multi-shot being higher than expected. Ammo mutation is the remaining from older build. There are no ammo issues, so you can go for projectile flight speed in that Exila slot. But this is surprisingly good. I kinda skipped it on the first rotation, but all the evolutions or bonuses are quite useful and end up building quite a nice weapon. There's no explosion, like with the spare, but homing feature is nice and appears to be better tuned than most homing things in warframe. Because most weapons just pick the closest target and lock onto it and you can't miss that for the life of it. But this one seems to pick one that has the lowest angle to your aim, so you can, kinda ignore closer targets. Sadly, we cannot curve throw those knives around cover and hit enemies. We have to see them for kunai to lock onto them. This is one thing that could actually be improved with RTX, so you kunai enjoyers, go bug the E about that. Aside from that small drawback, this is a cool upgrade, and it's worth getting it, especially for holster reload shenanigans with Felarks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.